Welcome to the Benefits of Intermittent Fasting, a powerful tool for health and longevity by Mindful Literary. In this audiobook, we will delve deep into the science, benefits, and practicalities of intermittent fasting, offering you a comprehensive guide to harnessing its power for a healthier, longer life. Our journey begins with an exploration of the science behind fasting. We'll uncover the history of fasting, understand its effects on the body, and delve into the remarkable health benefits, including weight loss, metabolic health, and longevity. Next, we'll explore the different methods of intermittent fasting, such as the 16/8 method, alternate day fasting, and the 5:2 diet, helping you find the best approach to fit your lifestyle. We'll provide practical tips for getting started, overcoming hunger, and maintaining a sustainable fasting routine. We'll also look at how fasting intersects with exercise, mental well-being, and specific considerations for women. You'll learn how to optimize workouts during a fast, enhance mental clarity, and address potential challenges unique to women. Additionally, we'll discuss the role of fasting in preventing chronic diseases, supporting gut and skin health, and aiding in detoxification. We'll explore fasting from cultural and spiritual perspectives, showing its significance across different traditions and beliefs. Finally, we'll offer insights into mastering time management, sustaining long-term motivation, and integrating fasting into your daily life for continuous health benefits. Join us as we embark on this enlightening journey to understand and embrace the power of intermittent fasting, transforming your health and longevity one fast at a time. Chapter 1: The Science of Fasting. Understanding intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, a concept that has taken the wellness world by storm, hinges on a deceptively simple principle: alternating cycles of eating and fasting. Unlike many dietary plans that specify what you should eat, intermittent fasting focuses on when you should eat. This temporal shift in our eating patterns can have profound effects on our metabolism, energy levels, and even mental clarity. But what exactly is intermittent fasting? And how does one embark on this journey? There are several popular methods one might consider. The 16/8 method, often hailed as the most accessible, involves fasting for 16 hours and eating during an 8-hour window. Another approach, known as the 5:2 diet, entails eating normally for 5 days of the week and dramatically reducing calorie intake on the other 2. Then there's the eat-stop-eat method, where one fasts for a full 24 hours once or twice a week. Each method offers different challenges and benefits, accommodating various lifestyles and preferences. The allure of intermittent fasting lies not only in its simplicity, but also in its science. When we fast, our bodies initiate several processes on the cellular and molecular level. Insulin levels drop, making stored body fat more accessible. Human growth hormone, HGH, levels increase, facilitating fat burning and muscle gain. Cellular repair processes, such as autophagy, are enhanced, promoting the removal of dysfunctional proteins and rejuvenating our cells. These changes collectively contribute to improved metabolic health and weight control. But with great popularity comes widespread misinformation. One common myth is that intermittent fasting is synonymous with starvation. In reality, intermittent fasting is about creating periods of voluntary abstinence from food, not about depriving the body of essential nutrients. Another misconception is that intermittent fasting will inevitably lead to muscle loss. However, research suggests that fasting, when done correctly, preserves muscle mass better than typical calorie-restricted diets. Embarking on intermittent fasting can be a transformative journey, but like any journey, it requires careful planning and mindfulness. Understanding the different fasting methods, recognizing the body's responses, and separating myths from facts are crucial steps for anyone considering this lifestyle change. So, whether you're drawn by the promise of weight loss, improved energy, or cellular rejuvenation, intermittent fasting offers a roadmap to explore the intersection of discipline and freedom in the realm of eating. The history of fasting. Since the dawn of civilization, fasting has been woven into the fabric of human existence. Early humans likely engaged in intermittent fasting driven by the availability of food, long before it became a deliberate practice. As societies evolved, the ritual of abstaining from food took on nuanced meanings that transcended mere survival. In ancient Egypt, fasting was a common practice to prepare for religious ceremonies. The Egyptians believed that abstaining from food purified their bodies and minds, making them more receptive to divine messages. Similarly, ancient Greeks like Pythagoras and Hippocrates regarded fasting as a means to improve physical health and bolster mental clarity. These early practices indicate that fasting was never solely about deprivation, but viewed as an exercise of self-discipline and a route to spiritual elevation. In the Vedic traditions of ancient India, fasting was seen as an offering to the gods, a rite of purification that allowed one to step closer to the divine. As we move forward in history, the religious significance of fasting cannot be overstated. The practice is deeply embedded in the Abrahamic religions. Jews observe Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, with a complete fast to repent for their sins. For Christians, fasting during Lent represents the 40 days Jesus spent fasting in the wilderness, enduring trials and temptations. In Islam, Ramadan stands as the most significant period of fasting, where Muslims abstain from food and drink from dawn to dusk, a spiritual cleanse that promotes compassion and unity. As time advanced, the motivations behind fasting diversified. In the modern age, fasting has found a new place in the context of health and wellness. Intermittent fasting, for instance, has gained traction for its potential benefits in weight loss, metabolic health, and longevity. Medical and scientific communities are continually exploring the effects of fasting on the human body, uncovering promising data that links controlled fasting to improved health outcomes. Fasting has also been adopted for philosophical reasons. Mystics and sages have long turned to fasting as a means to achieve greater mindfulness and enlightenment. The physical act of fasting often mirrors a deeper, existential journey, a way to focus inward and attain clarity and peace. However, it's intriguing to reflect on how fasting, a practice of self-denial, could unify themes across humanity. Whether through religious observance, health motives, or the quest for wisdom, fasting serves as a potent reminder of human capability to transcend basic needs for higher pursuits. Through intentional abstinence, people across different eras and cultures have sought to break free from the chains of physical necessity to touch the ethereal. The enduring legacy of fasting in human culture reveals much about our species. It showcases a perpetual longing for connection, whether it lies within oneself, with the divine, or with a larger community. Even as society continues to evolve, the reverent practice of fasting endures, exemplifying resilience and a collective pursuit towards understanding the profound. How fasting affects the body. As Emma settled into her second day of fasting, she felt a strange blend of lightness and exhaustion. Little did she know, her body was embarking on an extraordinary journey of transformation. Her insulin levels began to drop, creating a cascade of hormonal changes. With lower insulin, her body wasn't just regulating blood sugar levels, it was shifting gears, accessing stored glucose in the liver and muscles for energy. Shifting into a state often referred to as ketosis, Emma's liver was now breaking down fats into ketones, alternative fuel shards that her body would freely use. This new metabolic state sparked a burst of clarity in her mind, a well-documented phenomenon known as fasting clarity. Yet, deeper within her cells, other astonishing events were unfolding. Cellular repair kicked into high gear, driven by a process called autophagy. It was a cellular house cleaning service, wherein old, damaged proteins and organelles were broken down and recycled. This internal scrubbing made way for new, functional cellular components and, fascinatingly, boosted her overall resilience. Emma was becoming more efficient from within, a clandestine benefit that had captivated the scientific community's attention in recent years. Beyond the confines of her cellular landscapes, her metabolism was recalibrating. Resting energy expenditure, the amount of energy her body used at rest, began to adjust. Her basal metabolic rate dipped slightly as a conservation tactic, ensuring she conserved energy for essential activities. At the same time, her body grew more adept at utilizing stored fat, a survival mechanism honed through millennia. This entire physiological orchestra reached its crescendo with Emma's endocrine system, the network of glands producing hormones. The cascade effect of lowered insulin led to an increase in human growth hormone, HGH, crucial for muscle preservation and fat metabolism. Meanwhile, her cortisol levels, the body's stress hormones, rose slightly, signaling her to maintain alertness. By the end of the third day, Emma could feel the myriad changes culminating into a new equilibrium. Her initial doubts and fears about fasting had dissipated, replaced by a silent appreciation for the body's intrinsic wisdom. Unbeknownst to her, she was synchronizing with ancient survival mechanisms that had allowed her ancestors to thrive in times of scarcity. Yet, even as she embraced these incredible changes, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. How would her body react when she broke this fast? Would the benefits be sustained, or would they unravel, replaced by a tidal wave of appetite and cravings? The swirling uncertainty added a layer of tension, making her keenly aware that her journey within was far from over. Chapter 2: Health Benefits of Intermittent Fasting. Weight Loss and Metabolic Health. As the sun began to peer through the dense forest of city-built skyscrapers, Claire fastened her sneakers, ready for her morning jog. She wasn't just running from her past lifestyle choices, she was sprinting towards a future of health. Her journey had begun with an intriguing concept she found one sleepless night while scrolling through countless articles: intermittent fasting. Claire had always been skeptical of fad diets and quick fixes. Years of wrestling with her weight and sluggish metabolism had left her defeated and wary. But there was something different about intermittent fasting. It wasn't a diet, it was a pattern, a shift in when she ate rather than what she ate. This subtle but profound difference intrigued her and gave her hope. It felt manageable, sustainable, even logical. As days turned into weeks, Claire noticed the first traces of change. Her evening walks no longer felt like trudging through a swamp. She had energy, a lightness that was completely foreign. The scale, once an enemy, began to show her numbers that filled her with cautious optimism. Her research taught her more. By narrowing her eating window, she wasn't just consuming fewer calories, but she was regulating her insulin levels. Each fasted period allowed her body to tap into fat stores more efficiently. This wasn't starvation, it was rejuvenation. She was burning fat, not battling cravings like a boxer fighting an invisible opponent. It was a strange kind of liberation. The ultimate transformation, however, came in forms less visible. Claire's blood work, which had once been akin to a spreadsheet of red flags, now read like a novel with a happier ending. Her body was improving in its metabolic flexibility, seamlessly switching between burning carbs and fat, a prowess it hadn't demonstrated in her adult life. Still, the final chapter of Claire's story was yet to be written. Every success brought new challenges. Family dinners that tested her resolve, office junk food that seemed to call her name. They were but momentary hurdles in her marathon of life. Could she maintain this balance? Would her newfound metabolic health withstand the trials of everyday temptations? As her jog turned into a sprint, Claire found herself thinking not just about the weight loss, the physical transformation, but about the deeper, more visceral change. She was on a journey not just to regain her figure, but to reclaim her health, her energy, her life. The promise intermittent fasting held was not just an abstract ideal, it was becoming her reality. Chapter 3: Intermittent Fasting and Longevity. The link between fasting and aging. As the dawn soft light filled the quiet room, Dr. Evelyn Carter sat at her wooden desk, absorbed in the collection of research papers sprawled before her. The evidence was compelling, suggesting that the ancient practice of fasting might hold the key to a longer and healthier life. She had spent years studying the effects of intermittent fasting, intrigued by its potential to slow down the aging process. Intermittent fasting, a dietary approach involving cycles of eating and fasting, had roots in various cultures and religions. Yet, its profound impact on cellular biology was only now coming to light. Dr. Carter meticulously reviewed studies showing that intermittent fasting could enhance longevity. Through mechanisms like cellular repair and increased stress resistance, fasting appeared to activate a survival mode in the body, prompting it to utilize resources more efficiently. The notion was captivating, the idea that by restricting when we eat rather than what we eat, our bodies could enter a state of heightened cellular repair. Dr. Carter recalled one study where rodents subjected to intermittent fasting had extended lifespans and improved health markers. These findings, though preliminary, hinted at similar benefits for humans. By fasting intermittently, people could potentially reduce their risk of chronic diseases and age-related decline. Dr. Carter leaned back in her chair, eyes closed, envisioning a world where fasting could be seamlessly integrated into daily life. She thought about the physiological impact, fasting periods creating mild stress on the body, which in turn triggered adaptive cellular responses. This hormetic effect, where a low level of stress induces greater resilience, was central to the theory. Fasting catalyzed a process called autophagy, wherein cells cleaned out damaged components, making way for newer, healthier cells. A sense of urgency propelled Dr. Carter's work. She was driven not just by academic curiosity, but by a deep-seated desire to translate these scientific insights into real-world applications. She envisioned educational campaigns and programs to inform the public about the potential benefits of intermittent fasting. The challenge lay in changing long-standing dietary habits and perceptions about food consumption. As evening approached, Dr. Carter gazed out the window, the city skyline bathed in twilight hues. Her thoughts turned to the future, a future where aging might be a more graceful journey. She was convinced that fasting held promise, not as a panacea, but as a tangible way to enhance the quality of life. Her research was just the beginning. The next step was to inspire a broader movement, one that embraced the wisdom of ancient practices with the precision of modern science. With a renewed sense of purpose, Dr. Carter turned back to her desk, the hum of anticipation in her veins. She knew that unlocking the secrets of intermittent fasting could change the narrative of aging. As night enveloped the city, she delved deeper into her work, committed to unraveling the intricate link between fasting and the passage of time. Little did she know, her journey was about to intersect with others on a similar path, setting the stage for discoveries that would transform the understanding of longevity. Cellular repair and longevity. In a small, quaint village nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a woman named Clara. She was a curious soul, always probing the boundary between known and unknown, constantly peeking behind the veil of life's mysteries. Clara had heard whispers about a remarkable process within the human body, a process that might hold the secrets to longevity and unparalleled health. It was called autophagy. One evening, bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, Clara sat in her study, flipping through the worn pages of an ancient medical manuscript. The words seemed to dance before her eyes, recounting tales of cellular rejuvenation and renewal. According to the texts, autophagy was a process triggered by fasting, when the body, deprived of external nutrients, turned inward to cleanse itself. Damaged and aged cells were broken down and consumed, giving way to the birth of new, robust cells. Fasting, Clara discovered, was much more than a mere ritual of abstinence. It was a deliberate, almost sacred pause that allowed the body to orchestrate a complex and elegant repair procedure. The body, in its remarkable wisdom, sought out cellular debris and broken components, engulfing them within double-membraned vesicles. Intriguing as it was, these cellular scavengers were not merely janitors but artisans, sculpting an internal landscape of wellness and vitality. As Clara plunged deeper into her studies, she envisioned the microscopic world inside her own body, a bustling metropolis where each cell had its role, working tirelessly to maintain harmony. Fasting initiated a metamorphosis, where worn-out cells gave way to new life, much like peeling layers away from an old painting to reveal a vibrant masterpiece underneath. The more she read, the clearer it became. Autophagy was akin to an ancient, forgotten symphony, each note crucial, each movement designed to promote balance and longevity. Clara decided to put theory into practice. She embarked on a regimen of intermittent fasting, cautiously optimistic yet profoundly curious. It wasn't long before she began to feel the subtle shifts within her. Her mind felt clearer, energy levels steadier, and there was a luminous glow to her skin. Remarkably, even some of her chronic aches and pains started to diminish. The transformation wasn't merely physical. It was as though she had tapped into a vast reservoir of inner strength and clarity. But such an awakening did not come without its trials. Clara encountered moments of doubt and hunger, where the temptation to abandon her fast loomed large. Yet, in those moments, she would remind herself of the intricate ballet occurring within her, a rejuvenation on a scale so minute, it often went unnoticed. With each fast, she visualized her cells, the old making way for the new, perpetuating a cycle of renewal and longevity. As winter turned to spring, Clara's journey became a beacon for the villagers. They marveled at her vigor and sought her counsel. She would tell them about the cellular renewal and the ancient art of autophagy, inspiring others to explore their limitless potential. Despite the hurdles, Clara had uncovered a profound truth. The secret to longevity was not found in elixirs or potions, but was a silent symphony of cellular repair, conducted by the body itself, through the transformative power of fasting. Strengthening immune function. The sun was setting behind the hills, casting a golden hue across the tranquil town of Avalon. Dr. Elise Caldwell, an esteemed immunologist, sat on her porch, sipping a steaming cup of herbal tea. She marveled at the serenity that enveloped her robust garden, filled with herbs and plants. Her mind, however, was far from the stillness around her. Elise was engrossed by recent research she had been conducting on intermittent fasting and its impact on immune function. Elise had spent the better part of the last decade exploring ways to enhance the immune response through natural and sustainable methods. It was in this period of intense investigation that she stumbled upon intermittent fasting. The practice, which involves cycling between periods of eating and fasting, piqued her curiosity. She began to scrutinize the scientific studies pouring in, noting a promising correlation between intermittent fasting and improved immune function. As Elise delved deeper, she discovered that intermittent fasting could significantly reduce inflammation, a root cause of many chronic diseases. Inflammation, she knew, was the body's preliminary response to harmful stimuli. However, when it became chronic, it turned into a damaging force. Astonishingly, intermittent fasting seemed to trigger anti-inflammatory pathways within the body, increasing the resilience of immune cells. One late evening in her lab, Elise found herself excitedly scribbling notes. Fasting not only reduced inflammation, but also appeared to bolster the body's ability to fight infections. By giving the digestive system periodic rests, the body used the energy saved to repair and regenerate cells. Moreover, fasting seemed to induce a process called autophagy, a critical mechanism where cells clean out damaged or unnecessary components, thus maintaining cellular health and improving overall immune defense. Elise had just finished summarizing her findings when she received a call. It was Lisa, her childhood friend who struggled with recurrent infections and chronic fatigue. Elise had been quietly implementing fasting in her friend's routine. Just recently, Lisa reported feeling more energetic and falling ill less frequently. The results were not only personal, but echoing throughout her community practice, where other patients also began to observe similar health benefits. The calming twilight on her porch was suddenly pierced by the chime of her phone. A message popped up from her colleague, Dr. William Harris, who was working on a clinical study involving several test groups adhering to intermittent fasting. Preliminary results are in. Fasting group shows a remarkable decrease in inflammatory markers and enhanced immune cell activity. It's happening, Elise. This could be revolutionary. Elise smiled, her heart pounding with anticipation. As darkness enveloped Avalon, Elise looked out over the now shadowed garden, her mind alive with the implications of her research. Intermittent fasting was not just a practice. It was a potential key to unlocking profound health benefits and strengthening the body's innate defense mechanisms. Her journey had just begun. She knew she needed to spread this knowledge far and wide, to ensure that individuals could take command of their health through simple yet transformative lifestyle changes. As she closed her notebook that night, Elise felt a deep sense of satisfaction and excitement. The story of immune strength was just unfolding, and she was at the helm of this narrative. She was ready to embark on this new chapter, not only in her research but also in the lives of those seeking to improve their immunity and overall well-being. Chapter 4: Different Methods of Intermittent Fasting. The 16/8 Method. Natalie woke up at dawn with the sunlight filtering through the curtains of her bedroom. The quiet serenity of the early morning enveloped her, a contrast to the bustling day that lay ahead. She had decided to embark on a new journey, one that would redefine her relationship with food and time, the 16/8 Method. The 16/8 Method, a popular regimen in the world of intermittent fasting, dictates a simple yet effective rule: fast for 16 hours and confine your eating to an 8-hour window. Natalie had always found the concept intriguing. It promised not only weight management, but also improved focus and heightened energy levels. With her typical curiosity, she delved into research, discovering the myriad benefits and nuances of this approach. The first step, she learned, was to select an 8-hour eating window that complemented her lifestyle. For someone who relished evening dinners, Natalie chose to eat from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. This meant her last meal would be finished before the clock struck 8, and she wouldn't consume another morsel until the next day at noon. To some, this might seem restrictive, but Natalie viewed it as a structured way to bring harmony to her eating habits. As the days passed, Natalie noticed subtle changes. Her late-night cravings waned, a pleasant surprise that made her sleep more restful. Mornings became her sanctuary, a time to focus on tasks without the distraction of breakfast. When noon arrived, meals felt more satisfying. Savoring each bite during her 8-hour window became a cherished ritual. Her energy levels were steadier, as if her body had found a rhythm it had long missed. Implementing the 16/8 method wasn't without its challenges. The first few days, hunger pangs would greet her like an uninvited guest in the morning. To ease this transition, Natalie made sure to stay hydrated, drinking water infused with lemon slices, and sometimes green tea. She reminded herself that the discomfort was temporary, a small price for the long-term benefits she sought. Gradually, the fasting period felt less like an endurance test and more like a natural state of being. Natalie incorporated nutrient-dense foods into her eating window, focusing on lean proteins, healthy fats, and plenty of vegetables. This approach not only kept her satiated but also nourished her body, supporting its optimal function. She learned to listen to her hunger cues and recognized that eating had become an act of nourishment rather than a response to boredom or stress. One evening, as she sat by her kitchen table finishing her dinner, Natalie reflected on the journey so far. She felt lighter, not just physically but mentally. The 16/8 method had ushered discipline into her life, making her more mindful of what and when she ate. It was empowering to know that such a simple adjustment could yield profound changes. The clarity and energy she experienced were testament to the body's resilience and capacity for adaptation. Yet, as fulfilling as the journey had been, Natalie knew there were still questions, uncharted territories to explore. Could this method become a lifelong commitment? How would it fare when faced with the inevitable social gatherings and celebrations? With a sense of anticipation, she embraced the uncertainty, ready to delve deeper into the world of intermittent fasting. The path wasn't fully clear, but Natalie was determined, knowing that each step brought her closer to a harmonious balance with her body and mind. Alternate day fasting. The concept of alternate day fasting revolves around a simple yet profound practice: fasting every other day. On fasting days, individuals either consume no calories or limit their intake to a minimal amount, often around 500 calories. On non-fasting days, normal eating patterns are resumed without any specific restrictions, enabling a balanced lifestyle approach. One of the primary guidelines for alternate day fasting is to stay hydrated. Water, herbal teas, and other non-caloric beverages are crucial during fasting periods to maintain hydration and promote detoxification. When breaking a fast or eating on non-fasting days, opting for nutrient-dense, whole foods help sustain energy and nourish the body efficiently. The health benefits of alternate day fasting are compelling and diverse. Studies have shown improvements in metabolic health, including better insulin sensitivity and lower blood sugar levels. Additionally, fasting can spur cellular repair mechanisms, enhancing overall longevity. Weight loss is another significant benefit, as this regimen helps the body burn fat for energy on fasting days, while promoting muscle retention due to adequate nutrition on non-fasting days. For anyone considering alternate day fasting, maintaining sustainability is crucial. A gentle, phased introduction can ease the body into this routine. Initially, starting with a modified approach, such as fasting for a shorter period or consuming a slightly higher calorie intake on fasting days, can make the transition smoother. Building a support network, whether through friends, community groups, or online forums, can provide motivation and shared experiences. Balancing mental and physical health is also essential. Engaging in mild physical activities, such as walking or yoga, can enhance well-being without overwhelming the body. Prioritizing sleep and employing stress reduction techniques, like meditation or deep breathing exercises, contributes to a successful and sustainable fasting practice. As individuals navigate their journey with alternate day fasting, they may encounter mixed emotions and challenges. Yet, the rewards often outweigh the difficulties. Embracing a compassionate, patient mindset helps foster resilience and promotes lasting success on this transformative path. The 5:2 Diet. It was a crisp autumn morning when Emma first stumbled upon the concept of the 5:2 diet. The idea seemed simple, almost too good to be true. Eat normally for 5 days of the week and drastically reduce calorie intake for 2 non-consecutive days. Leafing through the pages of an old health magazine she found at a quaint coffee shop, she imagined how manageable it could be, especially for someone who had tried and failed at countless other diets. For the majority of the week, Emma could enjoy her meals without the looming shadow of constant restriction. The remaining 2 days, however, would require discipline and willpower. Could she handle such fluctuations? The narrative praised benefits such as weight loss, improved metabolic health, and even potential anti-aging effects. It all seemed so enticing, yet Emma knew the story had another side, a chapter filled with challenges. Emma decided to give it a go. Her first non-fasting day was liberating. She relished her breakfast, savoring the flavors without the usual guilt that haunted her eating experiences. By evening, she felt oddly free, almost as if a burden had been lifted. The anxiety of overeating had dissipated, replaced by a newfound sense of control. Then came the first fasting day. Emma awoke with a mixture of determination and trepidation. She sipped on black coffee, the warmth of it playing tricks on her empty stomach, convincing it that it wasn't hungry. By lunchtime, the reality of consuming only 500 calories for the day began to set in. She nibbled on a light salad, each crunchy bite a reminder of her commitment. As days turned into weeks, Emma experienced a roller coaster of emotions. Fasting days were grueling at times, especially when they coincided with social events or stressful work days. Her coworkers would unassumingly invite her for lunch, the temptation nearly unbearable. "Just one day," they'd say. But Emma knew that breaking the cycle could mean risking the progress she had made so far. She'd read that many people struggled initially, and she found some solace in knowing she wasn't alone. Sleepless nights where hunger kept her tossing and turning became part of her routine. Friends and family expressed concern, their well-intentioned advice adding to her internal conflict. Was she harming herself in pursuit of health? Was it all worth it? Despite the challenges, Emma began to notice changes. Her clothes felt a bit looser, her energy levels more stable as her body adapted to the fasting routine. The initial pangs of hunger gradually dulled. She found herself more productive, her mind clear and focused during the fasting days. The ups and downs were very real, but so were the tangible benefits. It wasn't just physical changes that Emma experienced. She developed a new perspective on food, on hunger, and on herself. The diet had forced her to confront her relationship with eating, and she began to see food not just as a source of comfort, but as fuel for her body. There were days when she doubted her ability to maintain the 5:2 plan, but each small victory reinforced her resolve. However, just as she felt she had found her rhythm, an unexpected challenge threatened to derail her progress. One evening, as she prepared for another fasting day, an urgent call from her mother shattered her concentration. A family crisis loomed, and Emma found herself torn between her commitment to the diet and the sudden demands of life. In the turmoil, she faced a crucial decision. Could she balance the diet with the chaos unfolding around her? As she braced herself for what was to come, Emma realized that the 5:2 diet was about more than just food. It was a test of resilience, adaptability, and inner strength. Chapter 5. Getting started with intermittent fasting. Preparing for your fasting routine. Clara stood by the kitchen counter, staring at the electronic notepad glowing faintly in the early morning light. The blank screen felt like an abyss, but she knew today was the day to start planning her fasting journey. Setting concrete goals was crucial, everyone said, yet her mind raced with uncertainties. What did she want to achieve? Weight loss? Improved focus? Greater spiritual well-being? Taking a deep breath, she began to type, goal, embrace a healthier, clearer mind and body. It wasn't just about writing a goal, though. Clara sensed it needed depth, a sense of sincerity that could anchor her when hunger pangs struck or when doubts clouded her resolve. She tapped her pen against her cheek, then added, achieve a balanced lifestyle, marked by strength, clarity, and discipline. The words felt right, as if something foundational had just cemented itself in her resolve. Next came the challenge of choosing a fasting method suitable for her lifestyle. Clara sifted through various articles and personal anecdotes, each method promising transformative results. The 16/8 method caught her eye, fasting for 16 hours and eating within an 8-hour window. Then there was the 5:2 method, which involved eating normally for 5 days and significantly reducing calorie intake on the other 2. Her eyes flicked across the page, listing out pros and cons for each. While the 16/8 method seemed easier to integrate into her busy schedule, the 5:2 method offered the flexibility she craved. What if she paired them, starting with 16/8 and shifting to 5:2 as her body adapted? The thought intrigued her, a hybrid approach that seemed both feasible and challenging. With her goals set and method chosen, Clara moved to the kitchen, her battleground and sanctuary. She pulled out her recipe book, flipping through pages of handwritten recipes and magazine cutouts that had been her culinary inspiration for years. Meal planning was next, a critical piece of the fasting puzzle. She needed nourishing, balanced meals that could sustain her fasting periods without overwhelming her with calories or unhealthy choices. Breakfast plans were fast items like chia seed pudding and green smoothies. Lunch and dinner would revolve around lean proteins, whole grains, and plenty of vegetables. The practice of planning and precise timing was essential here. Every meal had to contribute to her goals. Clara jotted down her meal ideas in the notepad, nodding with satisfaction as the list grew longer and more colorful. The anxiety of fasting began to dissipate, replaced by a comforting structure, a roadmap to guide her through this transformative journey. As the refrigerator door clicked shut, Clara felt a rush of anticipation. This was it. She was ready to embark on this meticulous journey, armed with clear goals, a suitable method, and thoughtfully planned meals. Her fingertips grazed the edge of the electronic notepad, the goals shining brightly on the screen. Little did she know, this preparation was just the beginning. What lay ahead was a test of not just her willpower, but of her very essence. Clara leaned back, watching the morning turn to day. The journey had just begun. Tips for overcoming hunger. The first few hours of fasting can play tricks on the mind. The hunger pangs strike sharply, creating a sense of urgency. Reaching for a glass of water could be the difference between giving in and persevering. Water acts as a shield, filling the stomach just enough to fend off the deceptive signals of hunger. Sipping it slowly, letting the cool liquid roll down the throat, fortifies the spirit. Keep the mind occupied, commander. Dive into tasks, submerge oneself into the daily grind. The more engaged the mind, the less it fixates on the gnawing sensation in the gut. Work, hobbies, or even a good book can act as distractions, weaving a curtain of ignorance over the incessant calls for food. The hours will tick away without the conscious count of a rumbling stomach. When break times allow, Focus on consuming nutrient-dense foods. Meals rich in protein, fiber, and healthy fats not only satiate hunger longer, but also provide a steady release of energy. Fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains should become trusted allies. Preparing such meals ahead of time ensures there's always a nutritious option waiting, ready to step in when the next eating window opens. The body is an adaptable machine. With a carefully crafted strategy, a gradual adjustment to the fasting schedule becomes possible. Start slowly, extending fasting periods incrementally. This gradual approach allows the body to acclimate, reducing the intensity of hunger pangs progressively. Consistency is key, and patience is the guide. The days stretch out, each filled with small victories over primal urges. With each passing moment, the challenge of fasting transforms into a testament of willpower. The once daunting hunger now seems manageable, each strategy crafted into a powerful tool. The journey shapes a person, teaching resilience and carving out strength where there was none before. Embrace it, for the transformation is as rewarding as the goal itself. Chapter 6: Fasting and Exercise. Combining fasting with physical activity. The dawn light peeked through the cracks in the curtains as Emily laced up her running shoes. Today marked the beginning of her new routine, combining intermittent fasting with exercise. Friends had shared their tales of transformation, and Emily, craving a healthier lifestyle, decided it was time to embark on this dual approach. Time was of the essence. Research had shown her that the timing of workouts was crucial to maximizing benefits while fasting. She decided her exercise session should align with the end of her fasting period, ensuring her body could efficiently burn stored fat for energy while having the immediate availability of nutrients post-workout. This timing, she believed, would provide her the necessary energy boost and prevent muscle loss. The crisp air outside invigorated her as she started her run, each step resonating with purpose. She knew that choosing the right types of workouts was just as important as timing. High-intensity interval training, HIIT, seemed a bit daunting initially, but she was convinced by its effectiveness in shorter durations. Balanced with moderate cardio and strength training, Emily devised a schedule that she hoped would challenge but not exhaust her. As she neared the end of her route, Emily felt a familiar yet amplified sense of accomplishment. What truly perplexed her, however, was understanding her body's energy requirements. On an empty stomach, she often wondered how much longer she could push herself, how many additional minutes she could carve out from exhaustion's clutches. Managing her nutrient intake during eating windows became her newfound art, focusing on high-protein, nutrient-dense meals. The balance, she noted, was delicate but manageable. Days turned into weeks, and Emily noticed subtle changes. The mirror reflected a stronger, leaner version of herself, but more importantly, her spirit felt lifted, her thoughts felt clearer. Yet, the question lingered at the back of her mind. Is she stretching her limits too thin, pushing her body into a cycle it might rebel against? One particular evening, after an intense session of strength training, she felt an overwhelming fatigue settling in. A whirl of dizziness sent her stumbling onto her couch. Had she taken a misstep? Could she be balancing on the precipice of pushing her body too far while in a fasting state? As Emily looked ahead, she realized the answers she sought were not just in the routines and regimens. They lay in listening to her body, tweaking her approach, and respecting the fine line between endurance and excess. In understanding that every journey, though scientifically informed, needed to be personally tailored, Emily discovered that her path to health was not just about transformation, it was about harmony. Optimizing workouts during a fast. Amelia could feel each heartbeat echoing in her chest as her feet pounded rhythmically against the treadmill belt. She'd been fasting for the past 12 hours, and her body was caught in that delicate balance between craving fuel and burning fat. The gym buzzed with the usual pre-dawn energy, determined faces, the clinking of weights, and the steady hum of cardio machines. It was a scene she knew well, yet each day felt like a new challenge. Today's workout was a critical one. She was pushing boundaries, testing how far she could go while fasting. First, she ensured she was hydrated. Even slight dehydration could amplify fatigue and muscle cramps. She'd learned the hard way that hydrating must start early, even before stepping foot in the gym. A bottle of electrolyte-infused water was her constant companion, each sip revitalizing her with essential minerals. Listening to her body was essential. Fasting created a profound connection between mind and muscle. Amelia tuned into the signals, a twinge here, a tightening there. She understood the difference between pushing the limits and risking injury. Midway through her high-intensity interval training, she felt a familiar but gentle fatigue setting in. A quick mental check confirmed she could safely continue, but she adjusted the intensity slightly to avoid overexertion. Patience and intuition combined to form a regimen that respected her body's current state. The choice of exercise was seasoned with her accumulated wisdom. Lifting heavy weights on an empty stomach wasn't just reckless, it was counterproductive. Instead, she opted for moderate weights with higher repetitions. Compound movements that engaged multiple muscle groups worked best, complemented by calming yoga sessions to enhance flexibility and reduce stress. The fasted state made her more attuned to the flow of each movement, enhancing her mind-body synergy. As her session drew to a close, Amelia transitioned to the cool-down phase. She stretched slowly, each elongation a tribute to how far she'd come. Post-workout, she'd break her fast with nutrient-dense foods. Protein shakes mixed with almond milk, a handful of nuts, and vibrant berries awaited her. These moments of nourishment had become as ritualistic as the exercises themselves, designed to aid recovery and replenish energy stores. Walking out of the gym, the early morning air filled her lungs with a fresh sense of accomplishment. Fasting had become more than a dietary choice. It was a journey of discovery, of understanding limits and harnessing resilience. The real victory lay not in the weight lifted or the miles run, but in the harmonious dance between her body's needs and her ambitions. Tomorrow would present new challenges and opportunities, but for now, Amelia embraced the fulfillment of today's work, leaving the gym with a heart filled with triumph and anticipation for the next chapter of her journey. Chapter 7: Fasting and Mental Well-Being. Fasting's Impact on Mental Clarity. In the quietude of the early morning, Anna sat on her porch, sipping a glass of plain water. The world around her still slumbered, but she felt more awake and aware than she ever had. A week into her fasting journey, she was discovering layers of mental clarity she hadn't known existed. She had always been skeptical about fasting, associating it with extreme diets and questionable health advice. Yet, the demands of her high-stress job as a financial analyst were pushing her into uncharted territories. Multitasking had become a futile exercise, and her ability to focus was waning under the constant barrage of deadlines and information. It was then she read an article on how fasting could optimize brain function and decided to give it a try. The first few days were brutal. She felt dizzy, irritable, and weak. Her body screamed in protest, craving the habitual comfort of breakfast. But as her body adjusted, something incredible happened. Her mind, once fogged by a perpetual state of stress and distraction, began to clear. The disjointed thoughts that once plagued her now seemed to align, forming a coherent and sharp stream of consciousness. An intriguing aspect of fasting that Anna experienced was an increase in energy levels. It felt as though her body had tuned itself to a more efficient frequency. Without the constant task of digestion, her energy wasn't erratically distributed, but was instead funneled into her cognitive processes. Tasks that had once seemed monumental began to shrink in her perception, becoming manageable and even trivial. At work, her colleagues noticed the change. "You're glowing," one said. "What's different about you?" asked another. Her improved concentration allowed her to tackle tasks with a newfound precision and creativity. She could now wade through complex data and lengthy reports with an ease that eluded her before. Her brain, it seemed, was no longer enslaved to the rhythm of constant eating, but was now an empowered ally in her daily battles. However, it wasn't just the professional sphere where the benefits of fasting made themselves known. Anna began to engage in more mindful activities. Meditation sessions became deeper, her sense of gratitude richer. She started perceiving her surroundings with a sharper acuity: the rustling leaves, the distant hum of the city, the varied hues of the sunset. Life, in essence, seemed to unlock itself in vivid detail. The ultimate test, however, came on an evening 2 weeks into her regimen. As she approached a pivotal presentation that could sway a major client's decision, she felt the familiar tendrils of anxiety claw at her composure. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and delved into the reservoirs of calm she had lately discovered. When she opened them again, she felt invincible. Her presentation was not only well received, but also praised as one of her best. As Anna walked home that evening, she reflected on her journey. What she once viewed as a mere experiment had transformed into a profound revelation. Fasting had awakened a part of her mind that thrived on minimalism, on the bareness that required only the essentials for peak performance. The fog of distraction had lifted, revealing a mental clarity that was both empowering and exhilarating. She realized that this clarity wasn't just a temporary state, but a sustainable practice that could redefine how she navigated through life. With each passing day, Anna embraced the simplicity and focus that fasting offered, knowing that her mind had been set free to achieve unparalleled feats. The connection between fasting and mood. Mark had always battled with bouts of anxiety and depression, his moods fluctuating like the tides. Traditional treatments offered little solace, barely scraping the surface of a lifetime marked by emotional instability. His life was a web of doctor's appointments, endless prescriptions, and disappointments. But an unexpected suggestion from his latest therapist changed everything: fasting. Initially skeptical, Mark delved into countless articles and medical journals, uncovering a less explored connection between fasting and mood regulation. He learned about the intricate dance between blood sugar levels and emotional well-being. Stable blood sugar could mean a stable mood, reducing the peaks of anxiety and the valleys of depression that he often teetered between. With curiosity overriding his hesitations, Mark embarked on his first fasting regimen. The first few days were grueling. His body complained, unaccustomed to the new restrictions. Yet, by the end of the first week, he noticed subtle changes. Mornings, usually greeted with a fog of despondence, felt lighter. His energy, once a fleeting visitor, now lingered longer, sparking tiny flames of hope within him. He sensed a calmness, a serenity that hadn't been within his emotional vocabulary before. Conversations with colleagues seemed less taxing. Laughter came more spontaneously, as if his brain had become less cluttered, more focused. Understanding the chemistry behind his newfound emotional stability fascinated him. Fasting prompted his body to use up the reserves of glucose and, in turn, reduced inflammation, a silent yet constant perpetrator of his mood swings. With inflammation dialed down, his mind felt less besieged by the invisible chains of anxiety and despair. Mark's friends started noticing the change too. A softer demeanor replaced his usual irritability, making social interactions less like navigating a minefield and more like a joyful stroll. This emotional renaissance, however, came with its own set of challenges. Long-held habits and cravings now posed threats to this newfound joy. Each pang of hunger became a test of his resolve. Each meal missed a notch on his growing confidence. There were moments of weakness, times when stress beckoned him towards comfort foods, tempting to break the cycle. Yet, the memory of the peace he had touched was enough to steer him back on course. Weeks turned into months, and the correlation between his fasting routine and mood steadiness became undeniable. He became an advocate, sharing his journey with support groups, emphasizing how simple dietary changes could significantly alter one's emotional landscape. Mark knew fasting wasn't a universal remedy. The science was still evolving, but his tale was a testament that sometimes the simplest methods could harbor transformative power. One crisp autumn evening, as he walked by the park, Mark's phone buzzed with a message. It was from a fellow support group member, someone struggling with depression for years. "Does this really work?" Read the message. Mark stared at it for a moment before typing back, "It changed my life. Trust the process." He sent it and put his phone back in his pocket, feeling a swell of purpose wash over him. The journey wasn't easy, but the connection between fasting and mood stability had given him more than relief. It had given him his life back. Chapter 8. Overcoming Common Challenges in Fasting. Dealing with Social Situations. The sun had barely set, and Amanda felt a familiar pang of anxiety as she parked her car outside her sister's home. Tonight was Emma's birthday dinner, and as much as Amanda looked forward to celebrating, she dreaded the inevitable questions about her new eating habits. She took a deep breath, rehearsing her strategy and mentally preparing herself for the array of dishes she knew would be laid out temptingly before her. Walking through the door, Amanda was greeted with warmth and the mouth-watering aroma of home-cooked food. She was quickly whisked away by Emma, who was overly enthusiastic about introducing her to everyone. Amanda smiled and nodded to familiar and new faces alike, all while keeping an eye on the large dining table already laden with steaming plates of lasagna, garlic bread, and various appetizers. As the evening progressed, Amanda discreetly sipped on her sparkling water, conscious of her fasting window that had yet to open. "Not hungry?" questioned her aunt, Laura, eyeing her empty plate. Amanda smiled, her heart racing slightly. "I'm fasting until a bit later." Trying out intermittent fasting, she explained simply, hoping her tone was casual enough to deflect further probing. To her relief, Laura simply nodded and turned her attention back to her conversation, sparing Amanda from having to elaborate. Amanda found herself engaged in lively discussions, momentarily forgetting about the food around her. She realized that the essence of these gatherings wasn't just about the meal, but the company and conversations that accompanied them. Despite her initial reservations, she felt a unique sense of belonging and satisfaction, knowing she could partake in the celebration without compromising her fasting schedule. Eventually, the much-anticipated cake made its appearance, a decadent chocolate creation that was Emma's favorite. "You've got to have a slice," Emma insisted, pushing a plate towards her. Amanda hesitated, then nodded. "How about I save this for later? It'll be my midnight snack," she joked lightly. Emma laughed, seemingly content with that compromise. Later that night, as Amanda made her way back home, she reflected on the evening with a sense of accomplishment. She had proved to herself that managing intermittent fasting in social scenarios was not only doable but also enriching. She had been present, connected, and had not allowed her fasting routine to isolate her from enjoying life's moments. It was a revelation that left her smiling, looking forward to more such evenings where she could strike a balance between her health goals and cherished social bonds. Addressing potential side effects. Every journey comes with its challenges, and embracing intermittent fasting is no exception. While the promise of weight loss, improved metabolic health, and increased longevity seduces many into trying this ancient practice, it's crucial to navigate the potential pitfalls along the way. Dehydration, headaches, and nutrient deficiencies lurk as some of the uninvited companions on this path. Dehydration often appears as the first adversary. Without regular meals, it's easy to forget to consume fluids. The body's thirst signals are subtle, sometimes even mistaken for hunger. As fasting progresses, an individual may experience dry mouth, fatigue, and even dizziness, classic signs that dehydration is setting in. The solution lies in a conscious effort to drink water consistently throughout the day. Herbal teas, broths, and electrolyte-rich beverages also help maintain the delicate balance required for optimal hydration. Headaches can strike at the most inopportune times, causing discomfort that can derail the most determined faster. These headaches are often linked to the body's adjustment period, as it adapts to a new eating schedule or lowered carbohydrate intake. To mitigate these unwelcome pains, one can ensure a gradual transition into fasting, allowing the body to acclimate more smoothly. Keeping stress levels in check, maintaining adequate sleep, and staying hydrated are also pivotal strategies. Nutrient deficiencies pose a more insidious threat. Reduced meal frequency can mean fewer opportunities to consume essential vitamins and minerals. This eventuality can lead to feelings of weakness, compromised immune function, and long-term health issues. Crafting well-balanced meals during eating windows is paramount. Including a variety of fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains ensures a broad spectrum of nutrients. In some cases, a multivitamin may be a practical addition to one's routine, filling in any gaps that diet alone might not cover. Listening to the body is a recurring theme in tackling these side effects. Each person is unique, and what works for one might not work for another. Adjustments, tweaks, and even consulting a healthcare professional can tailor the fasting experience to individual needs. This journey is not about punishing oneself, but about finding a rhythm that harmonizes with one's life, cultivating a practice that enhances rather than diminishes well-being. Building a sustainable fasting routine. Underneath the humdrum of everyday life is the silent yet potent desire for change. For Ellen, a hard-working professional and mother of 2 energetic children, maintaining health and vitality had become increasingly elusive. Catching glimpses of her reflection during work breaks, she felt a pang of discomfort, a silent reminder that she needed to reclaim control over her well-being. The concept of intermittent fasting had intrigued her, but the vast array of rigid protocols felt daunting. She needed something flexible, something that would seamlessly weave into the fabric of her life. Every morning, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Ellen recognized the sacredness of the dawn, a perfect time to plan the day ahead. Determined to craft a routine that wouldn't disrupt her busy life, she started small. She chose 12 hours of fasting, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., understanding that gradual adjustments would foster long-term success. This initial step felt manageable, even comforting, as it didn't require skipping meals or overhauling her lifestyle. With each passing day, Ellen listened to her body. Some mornings, energized and alert, she extended her fasting window until noon. On other days, she allowed herself the pleasure of an early breakfast with her children. This ebb and flow, driven by intuition, provided the flexibility needed for sustainability. Ellen discovered that fasting wasn't about rigid adherence, but about nourishing her body and soul in synchrony with her life. She turned mealtimes into mindful practices, savoring flavors and textures with a newfound appreciation. Months rolled by, and Ellen marveled at the subtle yet profound shifts in her life. Her energy levels surged, her focus sharpened, and she felt lighter, both physically and emotionally. Her family noticed too, mentioning how her laughter had grown richer and her presence more vibrant. The sustainable fasting routine she had crafted became second nature, an enduring rhythm perfectly synced with her life's symphony. However, Ellen's journey wasn't without challenges. Social gatherings, late-night work projects, and the occasional indulgence tested her commitment. Yet, it was precisely these moments that forged resilience. Ellen learned to navigate these waters with grace, understanding that imperfection was part of the process. She realized that the power of flexibility lay in forgiving oneself, in understanding that progress is not linear, but a beautiful oscillation of efforts and adjustments. In hushed whispers of the night, as Ellen sat by the window reflecting on her journey, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Building a sustainable fasting routine wasn't merely about food, it was a transformative act of self-love and care. It mirrored the broader dance of life, a harmony of balance, patience, and gentle persistence. And in this rhythm, Ellen discovered not just a healthier self, but a richer, more purposeful existence. Chapter 9. Fasting for Women. How fasting affects women's hormones. In the stillness of early dawn, as the first light of the sun just began to peek over the horizon, Emily closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She had embarked on a journey, one that intertwined ancient wisdom with modern science, intermittent fasting. But this wasn't just another trending diet. It was a profound exploration into how it could influence her body's delicate balance, especially her hormones. Hormones are the silent orchestrators of a woman's body, dictating everything from mood swings to menstrual cycles. Estrogen and progesterone, the primary female hormones, along with others like insulin and cortisol, play intricate roles in a symphony that, when disrupted, can lead to dissonance. Emily had read about the promises of intermittent fasting: improved mental clarity, weight loss, better energy levels. Yet, she wondered about the deeper impacts, especially on her hormonal well-being. As she entered her fasting window, Emily's body began to adjust to the lack of food. The first few days were challenging, but soon a rhythm was established. Her cortisol levels, initially spiking in response to the absence of food, began to stabilize. Cortisol, often termed the stress hormone, affects everything from immune function to inflammation. Emily felt a growing sense of calm and focus, a surprising side effect she hadn't anticipated. Intermittent fasting also influenced her insulin levels. Without constant grazing on snacks, her pancreas was given a break. Lower insulin levels meant improved sensitivity. Emily noticed she wasn't as susceptible to the energy crashes that once plagued her. She felt more in control of her hunger and cravings. But the most profound changes were happening beneath the surface, in the delicate dance of her reproductive hormones. Emily had always been attuned to her menstrual cycle, marking each phase with care. She observed with keen interest how fasting began to influence her cycle. Estrogen, the hormone that prepares the body for ovulation, initially seemed to waver. There were moments of heightened sensitivity, occasional headaches, and mood swings, signals that her body was adjusting. But soon, a surprising equilibrium was reached. The estrogen peaks and troughs became less erratic, leading to more regular and manageable cycles. Progesterone, the hormone responsible for maintaining the uterine lining during the second half of the menstrual cycle, responded differently. Emily noticed an improvement in her premenstrual symptoms: the bloating, the irritability, the fatigue. Fasting seemed to enhance her body's progesterone production, providing a more balanced luteal phase. The harmony between estrogen and progesterone was like a carefully crafted duet, each note resonating with new clarity. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's understanding deepened. Intermittent fasting, while beneficial, was not a one-size-fits-all approach. She learned to listen to her body, adjusting her fasting windows in sync with her menstrual phases. During her follicular phase, right after menstruation, she felt energized and extended her fasting period slightly. In the luteal phase, leading up to her next cycle, she embraced a gentler approach, ensuring her body had the nutrients needed to sustain progesterone levels. Emily's journey wasn't without its challenges. There were days of self-doubt, moments when the balance seemed elusive. But with patience and perseverance, she crafted a relationship with intermittent fasting that honored her body's natural rhythms. Through this journey, she discovered a renewed connection with herself, a deeper understanding of her body's silent conversations. As the weeks passed, Emily realized that the power of fasting lay not just in weight loss or energy levels, but in the profound harmony it could bring to her hormones. Each day was a step toward understanding the subtle currents within, a journey of balance, resilience, and self-awareness. By the time the sun set each day, casting a golden glow over her world, Emily felt a sense of accomplishment. The practice of intermittent fasting had become more than a routine. It was a testament to her ability to adapt and thrive. She had discovered a new rhythm, one where the symphony of her hormones played in tune with the natural cycles of her life. And in that harmony, she found strength, clarity, and a profound sense of well-being. Chapter 10: Fasting and Chronic Disease. Fasting's potential in preventing disease. As the warm morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, Dr. Selena Myers sat down at her desk, a steaming cup of herbal tea in hand. Her research on intermittent fasting had taken her on a remarkable journey through medical literature, patient anecdotes, and clinical trials. The phenomenon was gaining mainstream traction, but the mechanisms behind fasting's health benefits remained largely an enigma to the general public. Selena could vividly recall the case of Marcus, a middle-aged man with a history of obesity and type 2 diabetes. His transformative experience with intermittent fasting was nothing short of miraculous. After several months of alternating between periods of eating and fasting, his blood sugar level stabilized, and he was able to reduce his insulin dependence. But what truly fascinated Selena were the biochemical changes that had occurred within Marcus's body. Intermittent fasting wasn't just about caloric restriction. It activated a cascade of biological processes that could potentially stave off a multitude of chronic ailments. Marcus's improved insulin sensitivity was a result of lowered inflammation and oxidative stress, mechanisms that also played a critical role in preventing cardiovascular diseases. Selena had seen similar results in her other patients, further stoking her curiosity. As she dove deeper into the literature, Selena found compelling evidence supporting the idea that intermittent fasting could protect against neurodegenerative conditions as well. Studies showed that fasting promoted autophagy, a cellular housekeeping process that removes damaged cells and proteins, clearing the way for healthier cell function. This, in turn, reduced the brain's vulnerability to diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. But as she sifted through peer-reviewed journals and clinical data, something gnawed at the back of Selena's mind. Despite its potential, intermittent fasting was not a one-size-fits-all solution. Genetics, lifestyle, and existing health conditions all played a crucial role in determining how effective the practice could be for an individual. Encouraging patients to experiment with fasting without proper guidance could result in nutritional deficiencies or other health complications. The clock ticked ominously as Selena pondered her dilemma. Would the scientific community embrace intermittent fasting as a legitimate preventive measure, or would it get lost in the cacophony of dietary fads? The stakes were high. If intermittent fasting could indeed lower the risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and neurodegenerative conditions, it had the potential to revolutionize public health. With renewed determination, Selena began drafting an article aimed at educating her peers about the intricacies and potential pitfalls of intermittent fasting. As she typed, her thoughts wandered to the patients whose lives could be changed by this simple yet profound shift in eating habits. The journey to validate intermittent fasting as a medical practice would undoubtedly be arduous, but Selena felt a sense of urgency to share her findings. The well-being of countless individuals hung in the balance, and she couldn't afford to wait any longer. Managing diabetes through fasting. The dawn broke gently over the small town of Quietville, casting a golden glow on the quaint houses lining the cobblestone streets. In a modest two-story home at the end of Maple Lane, Sarah Reynolds peered out the window, her thoughts preoccupied with the layered complexity of her health journey. Diagnosed with type 2 diabetes just a year ago, she remembered the initial shock and the grim forecasts that had accompanied the diagnosis. Throughout the months, she had tried various diets and medications, always feeling as if she were chasing an elusive stability. It wasn't until she stumbled upon the topic of intermittent fasting that the spark of hope reignited within her. The concept seemed almost counterintuitive. Eat less frequently to balance blood sugar levels and enhance insulin sensitivity? Yet the more she researched, the more promising the approach seemed. Various studies hinted at the potential of fasting to not just manage, but potentially reverse type 2 diabetes. The path was clear, yet it was steeped in discipline and commitment. Dr. Ian Blake, a local physician with a penchant for holistic medicine, had become an unexpected ally in her quest. Sitting across from him in his cozy office, adorned with plants and anatomical charts, Sarah began to feel a guarded optimism. Dr. Blake's calm demeanor and wealth of knowledge offered a rare comfort. Intermittent fasting isn't a silver bullet, but it is a powerful tool, he explained, his voice steady and reassuring. By temporarily limiting food intake, you give your pancreas a much-needed break. This can improve insulin sensitivity and stabilize blood sugar levels. Sarah nodded, absorbing his words. With a structured plan, she embarked on her new regimen. 16 hours of fasting followed by an 8-hour window where she consumed balanced, nutrient-dense meals. Initially, the hunger pangs were a formidable challenge, but she reminded herself why she had started. Gradually, her body adjusted to the rhythm of fasting and feasting. Kale salads, lean proteins, and vibrant fruits became staples of her diet, and she found herself savoring each meal with newfound appreciation. Weeks turned into months, and the results were nothing short of astounding. Her blood sugar levels became more predictable, and her reliance on medication decreased significantly. She shared her progress with Dr. Blake, who responded with deserved praise yet reminded her of the importance of maintaining her new lifestyle. "Consistency is key, Sarah," he remarked during one of their consultations. "This isn't a temporary fix, but a new way of living." One evening, as she sat on her porch watching the sunset, Sarah reflected on the transformation she had undergone. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the knowledge that had guided her and the resilience she had cultivated. Managing diabetes through fasting had become more than just a health strategy. It was a testament to her perseverance and the enduring human spirit's capacity for renewal. Yet, as the sky darkened and the first stars appeared, a lingering question flickered at the corners of her mind. How long could she maintain this balance? Was there a hidden catch? The tension built subtly, casting long shadows over her newfound peace. She knew she had come far, but the journey was far from over. The unknown loomed ahead, promising both rewards and challenges. And in that blend of uncertainty lay the true test of her newfound strength. Chapter 11. The Role of Fasting in Detoxification. Supporting the body's natural detox processes. Jessica stared at the calendar, marked with the start of her upcoming fast, a mix of anticipation and trepidation swelling within her. She'd always been curious about the age-old practice, its benefits whispered in holistic circles and bolstered by scientific studies. This time, however, it wasn't just curiosity. It was a call to rejuvenate, to cleanse her body, her temple that had endured the weight of modern life successes. Thinking back to her last visit to Dr. Miller, a naturopathic physician with kindness-filled eyes, Jessica remembered the detailed explanations about the body's detoxification processes. "Your liver is a remarkable organ," Dr. Miller had said, "a relentless worker that filters toxins, processes nutrients, and assists in metabolizing everything you ingest." But, she had also mentioned, the liver sometimes needed a break, a period to reset and amplify its efficiency. Fasting, Jessica had learned, wasn't merely about abstaining from food. It was a structured pause, a controlled halt that allowed the liver to divert energy from digestion to its primary task, detoxification. During fasting, glycogen stores in the liver deplete, prompting the body to switch to fat metabolism. This biochemical shift, known as ketosis, triggers the release of stored toxins and initiates their breakdown and elimination. Yet, the liver wasn't the only star of this detox journey. Every cell in Jessica's body was poised to benefit from the fasting period. Cellular autophagy, a process where cells break down and recycle their own components, heightened during fasting. This self-cleaning mechanism targeted damaged or dysfunctional cellular debris, effectively rejuvenating cellular environments and optimizing cellular function. As the clock ticked closer to her chosen date, Jessica immersed herself in preparations. She stocked up on herbal teas, rich in antioxidants, to support her liver. She planned gentle yoga sessions to promote lymphatic drainage, another crucial aspect of detoxification. The anticipation of the fast brought a sense of calm and purpose, a reprieve promised by the ancient wisdoms and modern validations alike. When the day finally arrived, Jessica felt an odd blend of nerves and resolve. The first hours were marked by the habitual urge to eat, but with mindfulness, she channeled her thoughts to the microscopic symphony within her. Liver cells ramping up their detox tasks, cellular autophagy igniting its cleansing fires. With each passing hour, her body adapted, the initial hunger pangs subsiding, replaced by a profound sense of clarity. By the third day, Jessica noticed a palpable difference. Her mind felt sharper, her skin clearer, and there was an unexpected lightness to her being. She visualized the liver, no longer burdened by constant digestion, orchestrating its detox symphony. She imagined cellular autophagy sweeping through her system, fixing what was broken, discarding what was unneeded. On the final day of her fast, Jessica broke it gently with a broth infused with herbs and spices. The warmth enveloped her, grounding her back into the physical world, while she remained acutely aware of the internal transformations. It wasn't just about the absence of food, it was about the revival of balance, the support of her body's innate wisdom in its continual quest for health and homeostasis. Closing her journal, where she had meticulously documented each day's experiences, Jessica felt a renewed connection with herself. The fasting experience was not an end but a continuous journey of tuning in, listening to her body's needs, and honoring its natural processes. She vowed to carry this awareness forward, a reminder of the hidden miracles within her, ever ready to foster well-being and vitality. Detoxifying the mind through fasting. Olivia stood by the window, the rain tapping gently against the glass, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo her thoughts. She had heard stories about the virtues of fasting from food, of detoxifying the body and renewing one's energy. But as the days folded into each other, a new kind of fasting called out to her, one that didn't involve abstaining from physical nourishment, but from the incessant rush of mental and emotional clutter. She would embark on a journey inward, seeking clarity through the art of fasting her mind. The first few days were a tempest of disarray. Olivia's mind, accustomed to the ceaseless influx of information and the familiar hum of social media notifications, rebelled against the imposed stillness. Thoughts collided, mingled, and multiplied, creating an almost unbearable cacophony. Yet, as she persisted, something remarkable began to unfold. The mental chatter started to fade, replaced by a profound sense of quiet. It was as though a fog had lifted, revealing the landscape of her mind in its untouched beauty. With the mental clutter reduced, Olivia found herself more present in each moment. Her senses heightened. The world seemed to vibrate with a newfound intensity. She could hear the subtleties in the song of birds, notice the intricate dance of light and shadow on the walls, and feel the texture of emotions without being overwhelmed. In this heightened state of mindfulness, decisions became clearer, and her creativity blossomed. The vacuum left by the absence of incessant thoughts allowed space for new ideas to flourish. But the journey was not without its trials. As Olivia delved deeper into the practice of mental fasting, long-buried emotions surfaced like ghosts from her past. Each memory, each feeling, was a fragment of herself she had avoided confronting. However, in this cleansed mental space, she found the strength to face them. She acknowledged her fears, her regrets, and her pain, not as adversaries but as parts of herself that needed healing. Through this process, Olivia discovered an unexpected gift: emotional resilience. The more she accepted and processed her emotions, the stronger and more balanced she became. Day by day, Olivia evolved. Her mind, free from the chains of constant stimulation, rejuvenated itself. She felt lighter, her spirit unburdened by the weight of unnecessary thoughts and unresolved feelings. In this newfound mental clarity, she found a profound connection to herself and to the world around her. And so, what had started as an experiment in mental fasting transformed into a way of life. Olivia knew that she had discovered a timeless practice, one that would continue to nourish her mind and soul long after the rain had ceased its serenade against the windowpane. Chapter 12. Cultural and Spiritual Perspectives on Fasting. Fasting as a Spiritual Practice. The sun skated along the horizon, casting a delicate, golden haze upon the temple grounds. Within its walls, a symphony of silence reigned, broken only by the occasional rustle of a wind-touched leaf. Here, adherents of countless spiritual traditions gathered, united by a singular quest for deeper connection and self-awareness through the sacred act of fasting. In the dimly lit room, Yasmin sat cross-legged on a straw mat, eyes closed, her breath steadying into the muted rhythm of tranquility. For her, fasting was more than deprivation. It was an invitation to journey inward, to peel away the layers of the self, revealing the luminous core that connected her to the divine. Each pang of hunger was a reminder of her commitment, each moment of weakness an opportunity for spiritual resilience. Nearby, Father Thomas arranged his rosary beads with meticulous care. His faith, entrenched in the teachings of Christianity, revered fasting as a pathway to emulating the sacrifice and contemplation of Christ himself. As the beads slipped through his fingers, he whispered prayers of penance and gratitude, feeling the presence of the divine ever closer. His abstention from food was a humble offering, a bridge over the chasm between the worldly and the sacred. Across the hall, Ali, a devout follower of Islam, knelt in prayer. His fast during Ramadan was a testament to his devotion, an embodiment of charity, patience, and self-control. As dusk approached, the anticipation of breaking his fast with a Maghrib prayer filled him with a sense of communal unity and spiritual renewal. The silence enveloped him, each missed meal drawing him nearer to Allah, as if his soul itself was being purified. Mingled in the array of faiths was Arjun, practicing meditation amidst the chants of ancient Vedic hymns. His fast, rooted in Hindu tradition, was a disciplined means of attaining purity and focusing the mind. The spiritual austerity heightened his awareness, paving the way to deeper introspection and the ultimate goal of self-realization. Each day of fasting forged his will, entwining his spirit with the cosmic consciousness. As the day prolonged, the intensity of their collective endeavor augmented. Fasting stripped away the material distractions, enabling them to navigate the labyrinth of their inner worlds. Amidst the shadows of fatigue, the seekers discovered veins of fortitude and clarity otherwise concealed beneath the surface of daily life. Their practice transcended the mere absence of food. It became a sacred rite of passage, a consecration of the mind, soul, and body. The common thread binding these diverse faiths was not just the act itself, but the profound transformation it elicited, fostering a heightened state of spiritual awareness and a sense of oneness with the universe. As twilight descended upon the temple, the practitioners gathered in the central courtyard. The air was charged with silent prayers and shared determination. A soft bell tolled, signaling the close of their fast. Moments of reflection mirrored in their eyes. They partook in their first meal with a gratitude that transcended the physical, recognizing that through fasting, they had drawn inches closer to the divine tapestry that wove through their lives. In those fleeting moments of sustenance, each bite was a testament to their voyage into the self, a pilgrimage not defined by the miles walked but by the depths explored within. And as the stars adorned the night sky, the seekers understood that their spiritual journey had just begun, with fasting as their steadfast guide through the veiled realms of spirit and matter. Traditional fasting rituals around the world. In a remote village nestled in the highlands of India, the sight of villagers preparing for the Navratri festival filled the air with anticipation. Men and women donned traditional attire, exuding a sense of reverence and discipline. For 9 days, they would abstain from food, consuming only water, fruits, and milk as an offering to the goddess Durga. Each sunset, the community gathered at the temple, chanting hymns and lighting oil lamps, their faces aglow with spiritual fulfillment. Across the world in the Middle East, the holy month of Ramadan enveloped the Muslim community in an aura of devotion. From sunrise to sunset, the faithful refrained from eating, drinking, and other physical needs. The echo of the muezzin's call to prayer marked the beginning and breaking of the fast, known as suhoor and iftar respectively. Families came together to break their fasts with dates and water, followed by lavish meals that included an array of dishes like hummus, falafel, and lamb stew. In the Andes Mountains, the indigenous people celebrated Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun, centered around fasting and worship of the sun god, Inti. Preparations began weeks ahead, involving intricate rituals to purify both body and soul. When the sacred day arrived, music and dance infused the air, and the community, adorned in vibrant traditional garb, gathered to offer sacrifices. Though their stomachs remained empty, their spirits were alight with gratitude and respect for their ancestors. Scandinavian regions held a quieter, introspective fasting practice known as Langfredag or Good Friday. As part of the Christian observance of Lent, individuals engaged in fasting or abstaining from certain luxuries, such as meat or sweets. The day was solemn, often marked by a reflective silence, where families would gather to share simple meals of bread, fish, and root vegetables. Churches hosted services to commemorate the crucifixion of Jesus, reinforcing communal bonds through shared faith. In Japan, the practice of shajin-ryori, a form of Buddhist monk cuisine, spanned centuries. Emphasizing a vegetarian diet, the monks fasted from luxurious foods and embraced self-discipline. Only seasonal ingredients were used, meticulously prepared to honor life and sustainability. Their fasting periods preceded important ceremonies, filled with meditation, chanting, and the crafting of sacred art forms to enhance their spiritual journey. The diversity and commonality found in fasting traditions from these cultures around the world painted a vivid tapestry of human spirit and devotion. Despite cultural differences, the essence of fasting shared a universal thread, a quest for higher understanding and connection, whether it be to deities, ancestors, or inner selves. As moonlight bathed these communities in a serene glow, each person found solace in the unity of their rituals, transcending the barriers of physical hunger to feed their souls with wisdom and compassion. Cultural significance of fasting. In a small village nestled between rolling hills and ancient trees, the air holds a gentle symphony of whispered stories. Here, the tradition of fasting is not merely a practice. It weaves together the past and the present, connecting families and communities through the ages. The villagers gather at sunrise, facing the horizon where the sky meets the ground, sharing a moment of collective silence before the day's routines commence. The act of fasting begins not just in the stomach, but in the soul. To some, fasting might seem like a mundane or even arduous endeavor, a simple cessation of physical consumption. But for many cultures around the world, its significance is profound and multilayered. Fasting becomes a bridge between the human and the divine, a gesture of humility and reverence that spans spiritual dimensions. In these practices, every hunger pang is a reminder of larger truths, every empty stomach a canvas for contemplation and growth. The essence of fasting is deeply rooted in the rhythm of life's cycles. For the villagers, abstinence from food and drink during special festivals marks a time of renewal. It's a period when they relinquish earthly distractions to cleanse their minds and spirits. As the days stretch on, the collective willpower transforms into a palpable energy. Shared memories of fasting from past generations become a communal lantern, illuminating the path forward. In another corner of the world, high in the mountains where snow-capped peaks touch the sky, a different kind of fasting unfolds. Here, the people observe a more rigorous regimen. Their fasts are intertwined with chants and ceremonies that harness the power of their natural surroundings. As the sun dips below the jagged horizon, the community gathers, their breaths visible in the cold air, to engage in rituals that have been passed down for centuries. Each moment of deprivation is a testament to devotion, a symbiotic dance with the cosmos. Meanwhile, in bustling urban centers where concrete jungles replace verdant landscapes, fasting adopts yet another form. Among the diverse tapestry of city life, fasting bridges cultural divides, symbolizing unity and introspection amid chaos. Modern-day practitioners infuse ancient traditions with contemporary understanding. For them, fasting is an act of resilience and solidarity, a statement of identity amid the cacophony of daily existence. The clinking of glasses and the aroma of food are replaced with the silence of inner reflection. The symbolic meanings of fasting are as varied as the cultures they come from. For some, fasting is a means of penance, a cycle of sin and redemption bound by spiritual guidelines. For others, it creates a heightened state of consciousness, a direct path to enlightenment and greater wisdom. Even as the practices differ, the underlying principle remains strikingly similar. Fasting is a journey inward, a promise to oneself to seek the extraordinary within the ordinary. As dusk falls, the village elders tell stories of a time when the first seeds of fasting were sown into their culture. Legends speak of a traveler who brought the concept from distant lands, carrying the wisdom of many societies and weaving it into the village's very fabric. It is said that on his deathbed, the traveler predicted the steadfastness of their traditions, a prophecy that has held true through the winds of change and upheaval. There is an undeniable unity that fasting brings to each society, a thread that stitches individuals into a communal quilt. The practice invites every participant to look beyond the immediate, to tap into a collective consciousness that transcends the material world. As fasting facilitates this inward journey, each person becomes a vessel of their culture's timeless values, bound by a shared understanding that surpasses words. Yet, as night envelopes the village and stars adorn the sky, a palpable tension fills the air. The longest fast of the year approaches, a time when the line between the earthly and the ethereal blurs. The villagers brace themselves for what is to come, knowing that this fast is unlike any other. An age-old prophecy whispers through the ancient trees, hinting at secrets hidden in the shadows and promises that must be fulfilled. Chapter 13: Fasting and Gut Health. Supporting gut microbiota through fasting. The soft, dappled light of dawn seeped through the thin curtains, painting the walls with hues of gold and amber. Clara, a nascent health enthusiast, gently stirred in her bed, feeling an unusual sense of alertness. Today was the beginning of a personal experiment that would intertwine ancient wisdom with modern science. The concept of fasting, though daunting, held whispers of promise for her troubled gut. For months, Clara had battled relentless digestive discomfort and inflammation. Conventional treatments had offered no lasting relief, leaving her desperate and willing to explore alternative paths. Fasting, the age-old practice once reserved for spiritual awakenings, now emerged in contemporary studies as a beacon of hope for gut health. Clara's curiosity was piqued by the emerging research that painted fasting as a redeemer of the gut microbiome. These microscopic communities within her abdomen, long overlooked, held the key to overall well-being. The idea that a practiced abstinence from food could tilt the scales towards a balanced microbiome seemed both radical and revolutionary. The fast, she read, could cultivate beneficial bacteria, starve out harmful pathogens, and reduce the persistent inflammation gnawing at her insides. As she embarked on her first 16-hour fast, time seemed to slow. The familiar ritual of breakfast was now replaced by mindful hydrating and introspection. Clara could almost feel her digestive system recalibrating, the absence of food allowing it to focus on healing rather than processing. Her mind wandered to the stories of ancient texts, where fasting was revered not just as a physical practice, but as a spiritual cleanse. With every passing hour, Clara felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. What if this was just another false savior? What if her gut's newly built defenses would crumble once again? But as she tiptoed towards the end of her fast, a surprising sense of calm and clarity began to envelope her. The gnawing pain that usually accompanied her every meal seemed tempered, subdued. When the clock finally permitted her to break her fast, Clara chose her reentry meal with utmost care. A simple bone broth, teeming with nourishing gut-friendly compounds, seemed fitting. Each sip was an affirmation, a promise to honor the delicate balance within her. As the warmth spread through her body, she couldn't help but sense the first inklings of something profoundly transformative taking root within. Days turned into weeks, and Clara observed the subtle yet profound shifts within. Her digestion grew more efficient, the inflammation lessened, and a newfound vitality began to blossom. The fasting windows varied, sometimes stretching to 24 hours, but always followed by nutrient-rich, microbiome-friendly meals. The synergy of fasting and conscious eating turned her body into a harmonious orchestra, each component playing in perfect tune. Yet, as Clara stood on the precipice of her next fast, a thought nagged at her mind. Was she merely scratching the surface? The journey of nurturing her gut felt like an unfolding story, each fast revealing another chapter. She realized this was not just about healing the body, but about a deeper connection, an alignment of mind, body, and spirit that she was only beginning to comprehend. Healing the gut with fasting. Elena sat in her kitchen, staring at the array of supplements on the counter. She had tried them all: probiotics, digestive enzymes, peppermint oils, yet her IBS symptoms persisted, gnawing at her quality of life. It wasn't until she stumbled upon an article on fasting that a flicker of hope reignited within her. Fasting, the piece suggested, could potentially be a game changer. Taking a deep breath, she decided to explore this ancient practice further. Within days, Elena was engrossed in research, finding that intermittent fasting was more than a passing trend. Scientific studies revealed that giving the digestive system a break could indeed offer profound benefits. It was said to reduce the hyperactivity of the gut, alleviate bloating, and even calm the stormy seas of her irritable bowel syndrome. She couldn't help but feel captivated by the promise of relief. Embarking on her first fast, Elena found the initial hours challenging. Hunger pangs were persistent, and she wavered under their intensity. But as the hours turned into days, she noticed an unexpected sense of calm envelop her, as if her gut was finally getting a much-needed vacation. She found solace in the fact that fasting contributed to enhancing gut barrier integrity. Research she had read assured her that by not constantly processing food, the gut lining could repair itself, reducing permeability and preventing unwanted substances from leaking into her bloodstream. The deeper she delved into the fasting routine, the more she focused on her gut's well-being. She learned that her gut microbiome, a bustling metropolis of diverse bacteria, thrived with these periods of rest. Fasting promoted the flourishing of beneficial bacteria, which in turn played a crucial role in digestion, immune function, and even mental health. It was fascinating to discover how a simple act of not eating could foster such profound biological harmony. Days turned into weeks, and Elena could feel a transformation unfolding within her body. Her stomach cramps were becoming a distant memory, and she experienced fewer episodes of bloating. The sheer unpredictability of her IBS attacks had once dictated her life. Now, it felt as though she was reclaiming control. Friends and family began noticing the change in her demeanor, a newfound lightness in her step, a glow on her face. Just when she thought she had unveiled all the mysteries of fasting, Elena stumbled upon a community of individuals who shared their own transformative stories. From autoimmune conditions to chronic fatigue, there was a wealth of anecdotal evidence supporting the notion that fasting could heal not just the gut, but the entire body. Inspired by these testimonies, she decided to continue her journey, not just as a personal experiment, but as a beacon of hope for others around her struggling with similar issues. Elena's story was just beginning, and while the road ahead was still uncertain, one thing was clear: the simple, powerful act of fasting had kindled a newfound resilience within her, an unwavering belief that healing was not just possible, but inevitable. Chapter 14: Fasting and Skin Health. The impact of fasting on skin aging. Sophia had always been vain about her skin. As an esthetician running her own skincare clinic, her face was her business card, garnering praise and new clients alike. But as she tiptoed into her late 30s, she began to witness subtle lines etching themselves around her eyes and mouth, defying her meticulous skincare routine. Her frustration grew with every new line and every expensive cream that failed to deliver its promise. One evening, Sophia received a call from her best friend Emma, who was always on the pulse of the latest health trends. Emma was bubbly with excitement as she spoke about intermittent fasting. "Sophia, you have to try this. It's not just about losing weight, it's about your cells literally repairing themselves. Your skin could benefit so much," she enthused. Skeptical yet desperate to try something new, Sophia decided to give it a shot. She began her fasting journey cautiously, choosing the 16:8 method, fasting for 16 hours a day and eating within an 8-hour window. To her surprise, the hunger pangs were nowhere near as unbearable as she'd imagined. Instead, she found herself feeling more energetic, focused, and astonishingly, her skin seemed less puffy and tired. Within a couple of weeks, Sophia noticed a subtle plumpness returning to her cheeks. Her skin seemed to drink in her skincare products more effectively. Curious and rather amazed, Sophia delved into research on the connection between fasting and skin health. She discovered a treasure trove of scientific studies demonstrating that fasting activates cellular repair mechanisms. During fasting periods, the body initiates a process known as autophagy, where it cleans out damaged cells and regenerates new ones. Essentially, fasting gave her cells the time and space to heal themselves, reducing oxidative stress and minimizing the visible signs of aging. Fasting also encouraged the production of collagen and elastin, proteins vital to maintaining the skin's elasticity and bounce. Sophia could feel the difference, not just see it. Her skin felt more resilient when she pinched her cheeks gently, snapping back more quickly compared to its previous sluggishness. She reveled in this newfound sense of rejuvenation, her faith in this natural therapy soaring. Sophia began to share her journey with her clients, incorporating fasting advice into her consultations. Soon, her clients, too, started witnessing transformative results. Women who once felt tethered to their age lines found a refreshing hope in fasting's potential. It was as though Sophia had unlocked a secret treasure chest, offering everyone the key to ageless beauty. Yet, as Sophia enjoyed her glowing skin and the business boom from her happy clients, a creeping thought gnawed at her. Would this harmony last? Or were there hidden drawbacks to this seemingly miraculous solution? With a blend of excitement and trepidation, she realized that her journey, and that of her clients, was just beginning. How deep and enduring were the effects of fasting on aging? Only time would tell, and she found herself eagerly anticipating the answer, even as she feared what else she might uncover. Clearing skin conditions through fasting. Sarah had tried everything: creams, antibiotics, special diets, yet nothing seemed to work. Her skin was a battlefield, marred by acne, irritated by eczema, and occasionally flaring up with patches of psoriasis. It was only after a chance conversation with a colleague who mentioned the surprising benefits of intermittent fasting that Sarah dared to hope again. Intrigued, she delved deep into research, uncovering a wealth of information that argued precise periods of abstaining from food might just be the skin miracle she was yearning for. As she read on, Sarah discovered that fasting didn't just involve skipping meals, it promised a whole slew of changes within the body. Most notably, it helped in reducing inflammation, a key player behind many skin conditions. Inflammation was like a wildfire raging beneath the surface, aggravating acne pustules, causing eczema patches to itch like fury, and sparking the unpredictable flare-ups of psoriasis. By easing this silent, chronic inflammation, fasting could offer her skin the respite it so desperately needed. It made perfect sense: calm the root rage, and watch the battleground transform. Beyond inflammation control, Sarah found that fasting could act as a powerful detoxification mechanism. With each fasting phase, the body was given the opportunity to switch from digesting food to cleaning up cellular debris. This autophagic process, akin to spring cleaning the body, would rid her of amassed toxins and dead cells. Sarah imagined her skin renewed, vibrant, unburdened by the constant assault of impurities, trying to surface through her pores. The clarity of this vision ignited a spark of hope. Autophagy was a cleansing miracle waiting to manifest. The excitement of embarking on something new mingled with apprehension. How would her body react? Would she find it unbearable, or discover an unexpected strength within? Sarah resolved to begin with the popular 16:8 method, 16 hours of fasting followed by an 8-hour eating window. Starting small, guiding her body gently into this new rhythm, she marked the beginning of her fasting journey on her calendar. As the days passed, Sarah documented her progress, focusing on every small change and newfound energy, until she began to notice a subtle transformation in the mirror. The first few days were the hardest. Hunger pangs came and went like unwelcome guests, overstaying their visit. But as her body adapted, Sarah noticed something else. The redness on her cheeks was fading, the incessant itch of her eczema calming, even the annoying pustules of acne seemed to be retreating. She felt lighter, not just physically but mentally, as though a fog was lifting. She clung to this burgeoning evidence, heartened by the incremental victories. Weeks went by, and Sarah's skin condition continued to improve. The patches of psoriasis that once dominated her arms were now just faint memories. Her colleagues began to notice too, complimenting her on her increasingly radiant complexion. Each compliment was a testament to her newfound regime. She felt like she was not only reclaiming her skin but also her confidence. But the true test lay in the consistency, in making intermittent fasting a seamless part of her lifestyle, rather than just another temporary solution. Sarah's journey of skin transformation through fasting was not just about what she abstained from but what she gained, a deeper understanding of her body's needs and a profound respect for its resilience. Intuitively, she knew she was on the right path. The echoes of her past struggles served as a reminder of how far she had come and how this method of controlled abstinence held the promise of clearer skies on the horizon. Chapter 15: Sustaining Fasting for Long-Term Health. Integrating fasting into lifestyle choices. Maria stared at her kitchen calendar, the days marked with colorful stickers, a mosaic of her commitments, social events, and personal fitness routines. She had heard a lot about intermittent fasting and was eager to give it a try, but the notion seemed almost incompatible with her busy life. How could she balance fasting windows with work meetings, family dinners, and spontaneous outings with friends? She decided to start with the basics. The first thing she did was educate herself on the different types of intermittent fasting. There's the popular 16/8 method, where you fast for 16 hours and eat during an 8-hour window. Then there's the 5:2 diet, where you eat normally for 5 days and limit your calorie intake on the other 2. The Eat-Stop-Eat method involves a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. Understanding these methods helped Maria feel more in control. She settled on the 16/8 method, the one most conducive to her daily rhythms. Next, Maria started to adapt her routine. She knew mornings were hectic with getting the kids ready for school and making it to the office on time, so skipping breakfast seemed a plausible option. Her eating window would start at noon and end at 8 p.m., giving her enough flexibility to enjoy a substantial lunch and dinner. This new routine required her to plan her meals meticulously. She began preparing nutrient-dense foods, making sure her diet included a healthy balance of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates to sustain her through the fasting period. The challenges were real, especially in maintaining her social life. Friday nights usually involved dining out with friends, often extending beyond her eating window. Maria found herself faced with a choice: decline invitations or tweak her schedule. She opted for the latter. By pushing her eating window forward on weekends from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., she allowed herself the liberty to enjoy those evenings without breaking her fast. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to keep her aligned with her goals. At work, another hurdle presented itself. Casual meetings often involved breakfast pastries and coffee breaks. Maria had to learn the art of politely declining without drawing too much attention. She carried herbal teas and sparkling water to fend off hunger. Interestingly, these minor changes sparked curiosity among her colleagues, who began to inquire about intermittent fasting. Her private journey started turning into a collective discussion on personal wellness in the office. As weeks turned into months, her commitment bore fruit. Maria felt lighter, more energetic, and even noticed improvements in her focus and productivity. The most rewarding aspect was the gradual but sustainable weight loss. Balancing her personal health goals with a demanding lifestyle required some flexibility and creativity, but the results were well worth it. Maria's journey was a testament to how intermittent fasting could be more than a rigid diet. It could be seamlessly integrated into a fulfilling and dynamic lifestyle. The key lay in personalizing the fasting schedule, staying flexible, and being prepared to make small sacrifices for long-term gains. But just as Maria was settling into her new routine, an unexpected twist threatened to disrupt everything. As we conclude the benefits of intermittent fasting, a powerful tool for health and longevity, we hope you've gained valuable insights into the science, benefits, and practical applications of intermittent fasting. This powerful practice can transform your health, enhance your longevity, and improve your overall well-being. Throughout this audiobook, we've explored the profound impact of fasting on weight loss, metabolic health, and aging. We've uncovered various fasting methods, provided practical tips for overcoming challenges, and discussed how to integrate fasting into your exercise routine and mental wellness practices. We've also delved into the unique considerations for women, the potential of fasting to prevent chronic diseases, and its role in supporting gut and skin health. The cultural and spiritual significance of fasting has shown us its deep-rooted place in human history and its ongoing relevance today. Remember, the journey of intermittent fasting is a personal one. It requires patience, self-awareness, and commitment. By understanding your body's needs and listening to its signals, you can create a fasting routine that supports your goals and fits seamlessly into your lifestyle. As you continue to explore and practice intermittent fasting, stay curious and open-minded. Embrace the challenges and celebrate your progress. And most importantly, maintain a balanced approach that prioritizes your overall health and well-being. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May your path to health and longevity be enriched by the powerful tool of intermittent fasting.